Did you want a 370Z but your mom said you have a 370Z at home? Well, today we're going to be talking about the 370Z at home, the Genesis Coupe. Before we get into the video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and if you have a Genesis Coupe or any other car, add it to our vehicle gallery. Thank you guys so much for supporting the YouTube channel, by the way. We just hit 10,000 subs. We really appreciate it. Today we'll look at aftermarket wheel options for all years of the Hyundai Genesis Coupe. This ranges from 08 to 2016, BK1 and BK2 generations. Get some inspiration for your own build or learn what specs fit. Introduced in 2010, it first debuted in the North American market. But at this point, the GenCoupe was a little late to the party. The 350Z, at that time the 370Z, had been around for 7 years. Well, why compare the two? Hyundai very much positioned their car against the Z cars. Both are rear-wheel drive, sporty, come in 6-speed, similar weight, similar MSRP, and the Hyundai also comes with a V6, a little larger, more powerful than the Zs. You can even mix and match the wheel and tire setup between the two, although you probably shouldn't. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Both cars have all the ingredients for a good track car, particularly a drift car. In fact, the Z was our #1 pick for a beginner drift car, with the Genesis being a close second, mostly based on the price. But with the GenCoupe becoming ever more affordable, they could dethrone the Z for that #1 spot. They even have the option of a 2.0 turbo if you want to feel like an S15 without S15 prices. Whether you want to build a drift car, daily driver, show car, or something else, you're probably looking to get rid of those boring factory wheels. But what aftermarket wheels should you run on your Genesis? Well, I'm going to break them down by common sizes and applications for you. For starters, what are the specs of the factory wheels on the Genesis? Well, the non-track BK1 came with 18.7.5/33 in the front and 18.8/33 in the rear, while the track edition, a little sportier with the Brembos, came with 19.8/35 front and 19.8.5/35 rear. The BK2 has identical specs for both the track and non-track. Widths are exactly the same, with plus or minus a few millimeters of offset. There's no significant difference in fitment between the BK1 and BK2. However, the designs of the factory wheels are slightly different. So what can we take away from this? Well, all OEM wheel setups on these cars are staggered from the factory rather than squared. Also, models with Brembos, the track and R spec, get 19-inch wheels while everything else gets 18s. But this doesn't mean 18-inch wheels won't fit the track and R spec. Some models of 18s and even 17s can fit over the massive Brembo brakes on these cars. Normally, factory-size wheels are a little petite on these, but the Genesis Coupe is special. Hyundai put decent-sized wheels on it, at least diameter-wise. The most common sizes of aftermarket wheels on these stick to the factory diameters, 18 to 19 inches. Those feeling a bit more adventurous might opt for a 20. While it's possible to go down to 17-inch wheels, we generally don't recommend it, and there are very few 17s that will clear those Brembo brakes. So, 18s to 20s in terms of diameter. Typical widths and offsets in the front range from a 7.5 factory size to 11 with a 0 to 45 offset. In the rear, you'll see an 8 to 12 with 0 to 45 offset. Most wheel configurations remain staggered, although square is possible. If you know 350Z and 70Z fitment, these numbers may sound familiar, both OEM and aftermarket. On top of the other similarities, wheel fitment is also pretty close. They even share the same 5x114.3 bolt pattern. Factory Z wheels on a Genesis do look pretty cool. Will it work? Yes. They'll clear the factory shocks and the factory Brembos. The only difference is 1 millimeter in center bore, which is marginal. Should you do it? Honestly, the specs kind of suck and isn't better fitment the point, but if you're on a budget, you can do it. Some of the Z wheels are wider, sure, but have higher offsets and are less aggressive fitment. If you're gonna go this route, we'd at least recommend some spacers, maybe 10 to 25 millimeters front and rear, and please don't run the Nissan center caps. Be proud of your KDM whip. Spacers make OEM wheels flush. When going to aftermarket wheels, the most popular choice of diameter is 19-inch, but 18 is a close second. Even if your car came with a factory 19s, that doesn't mean you have to stick with 19 and up. There are plenty of 18-inch wheels that will fit over the factory Brembos and look great. As we can see right here, these 18-inch Avid 1 AV20s fit this 2010 3.8 track edition GenCoupe with no spacers. This is a very simple daily driven close to stock fitment. Running a square setup in addition to being downsized 19 to 18, the exact specs of the wheels are 18 by 8.5 plus 33 all around, and they're wrapped in Pirelli P0 235 45 18s. If you are after an OEM plus fitment, this could be the setup for you. Meanwhile, this BK1 2.0 TR spec, that's a mouthful, has Brembos in a square setup like the previous, but with a slightly more aggressive fitment. These are an 18 9.5 plus 22 all around with 225 40 tires in the front and 245 40s in the rear. With this combination of fitment and ride height, you will need to roll the fender slightly to prevent rubbing, but nothing crazy. These are the Inovia Night wheels. Now, we're gonna get into some more aggressive stuff here. If you're looking to avoid coilovers, rolling and pulling the fenders, camber, etc., then this is where you're gonna wanna stop watching, but don't stop watching. For those looking for a flush or stance fitment, we have an example for you. This 2013 BK2 3.8 base is running some Heritage Kokoro Mono Cs. We are still looking at 18s here, but these are more aggressive. 18 8.5 plus 35 in the front and 18 9.5 22 in the rear. Why does it look more flush than the other ones with the same setup? Well, these have a 15mm front spacer and 3mm rear spacer, bringing the effective offsets down to a +20 front and a +19 rear. The tires are a Delta Grand Prix Tour 215/40/18 front and 225/40/18 rear. This one's also riding on a set of BC Racing coilovers at a static drop. At this height, the fender liners did need to be removed. The Kokoro mono seat comes in many options. We needed to add at least one wide-body Gencoupe here since wide-body ones are all over the place. This is about as wide as they come, running a Workmeister S1 3-piece setup spec'd at 1811 -28 in the front, while the rear is even wider in 1813 -33. The Nitto NTO1s are well stretched at 255 in the front and 305 in the rear. Despite the over-fender, stretch tires, and camber, there's still a little bit of poke. This car is riding on some coilovers, and at full lock there is a bit of tire to fender contact, but that is to be expected. This one comes from our gallery. We've got all kinds of fitment there. Wide body, flush, OEM plus, static, bag, camber, no camber, you name it, we got it. Check out all the details on our gallery and feel free to add your ride. The most popular size for the Genesis Coupe is 19-inch wheels. Just because you get 19s does not guarantee that they clear factory Brembos without a spacer. Give our fitment experts a call and they'll take care of you, but we did find a few that work for sure. The SSR Professor MS1 3P fit this Genesis Coupe. The specs on this setup are a 19 by 9.5 plus 37 in the front and a 19 10.5 30 in the rear. Not super aggressive offsets, but fairly wide. Wide enough to fit some meaty tires under there. Pilot Super Sports in 225/40/19 front and 255/35 rear. Here's another 19-inch setup. This 2014 3.8 R-Spec BK2 also has a staggered setup with Brembo brakes. The wheels are even the same width, 9.5 and 10.5, but with lower offsets. The front's coming in at a +22 with a 245/35, and the rear is a 10.5/22 with a 275/35. These are the ESR CS8s, originally black but powder coated a custom color. The tires are the Firestone Indy 500 with fairly stiff spring rates. This car does not rub at this ride height. Now, if you're looking for 20s, you might be asking, do they fit? You're only talking about 18s and 19s, Jakes. Yes, they do, but there's a few things you need to be mindful of. First, you're gonna have to take those fender liners out, throw them away. 20-inch wheels, even with thin tires, are going to rub that factory inner fender. Second, 20s are heavy, so if performance is the goal, look for a lightweight 18. But if you're looking for that style, here's what they look like. This 2010 2.0 GT is seen on a set of ESM 004s, 20 by 8.5 25 in the front and 20 by 10 25 in the rear. 255/35 front tires, 285/30s with the Brembo brakes, and it's not a given that they clear because of their diameter, but these ESMs do. Hopefully that helped you guys dial in the fitment on your Genesis Coupe. To recap, 18 to 20, widths around 8.5 to 9.5 in the front, 10.5 to 11 in the rear. You're gonna wanna run some low offsets anywhere from a +15 up to like a +30, and that's gonna look great on your Genesis. Tire size is entirely dependent on your setup, but most Genesis are running a 225 to 245 in the front, 255 to 275 in the rear. If you're looking for something more extreme, feel free to reach out to our fitment experts. They will have you covered. These guys have built most of the badass cars you see on the internet and dialed in their wheel and tire setup perfectly. Reminder, if you have a Genesis Coupe or any other car, or anything with 3 wheels, 4 wheels, 5 wheels, 6 wheels, 10 wheels, I don't really give a shit how many wheels, upload it to our vehicle gallery to show it off to the world, help others with their fitment, and participate in our monthly fitment battles. If this guide helped you out, be sure to drop a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, and let us know down in the comments what vehicle we should do next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.